If season 1 of Stranger Things was about finding Will, then season 2 of Stranger Things is what happens after he's found. Hawkins gets darker, scarier, and a bit more emotional. So this season, they actually really bring the horror theme into this, and it does get interesting. So season 2 of Stranger Things, I watched it, so let's talk about it. So this takes place a year after Will is rescued. The party tries to move forward, but Will obviously isn't the same. He's seeing visions of something worse than the Demogorgon, something that's actually watching him too. Meanwhile, Eleven's still alive and she's hidden away with Hopper. And the Hawkins lab is back and is still trying to cover up the impossible. The thing that I liked about this season is that it shifts to the more horror side of Stranger Things. Will ends up being possessed, the lab gets taken over by demi-dogs, and Bob, we're gonna have to talk about this character too. And we get the Shadow Monster, aka the Mind Flayer, which is honestly the most creepiest thing I've seen in this show, but since there's more seasons, it's the most creepiest thing I've seen in this show so far. Especially the scene when Joyce actually figures it out on the TV screen when she's looking back at Bob's tape recorder. That, along with the theme to it, the tone shifts, and it really does put chills down my spine. And Will Byers, for someone that wasn't around for like 90% of season 1, well, physically, he really does steal the show in season 2 and makes up for the time that he was gone in season 1. The exorcism scene when Will's trying to choke Joyce out because they're trying to like take the thing out of him, that was chilling. I really thought he was gonna kill her. And you know, as in season 1, they used the Christmas lights to communicate, which was cool also, but then season 2 went and dialed it up a notch and showed Will using Morse code to actually communicate. And that was so creative, and I enjoyed how they put that and fit that in here with the arc of Will being possessed. And Hopper and Eleven's bond, I was shocked seeing her actually return. I was wondering how she was going to return anyway, and seeing how it ended up being her coming back instantly after that and Hopper finding her and keeping her for a whole year. I understand where Hopper's coming from, because he in fact did lose a daughter and he wanted to become a father figure for someone to make sure that they don't end up being lost too, in the sense of being, you know, unalived. And when she yells, "You are like Papa," it actually hits hard. Well, in a sense, it does hit hard, but then it reminds me that it was a TikTok audio a few years back, and I was waiting to see what season that was going to be in, and it was this one. And I like the Max and Lucas connection. Honestly, it was another thing with, you know, more people in the group where I'm kind of just like, I hope they don't get together. Like, I'm still hoping that Will and Eleven we'll talk about that. But Lucas and Max, seeing them slowly get together, seeing Lucas's character progression was honestly really cool to me. And seeing the new introduction to the bunch, her becoming very likable, even though I don't know how she became friends with them so fast, but it is middle school. You just become friends with anybody at that point. And the running joke of Lucas screaming like a girl, it was in season 1, I think like once, and then he brought it back in season 2. I wonder how far they're gonna go with the whole running gag of Lucas's girl scream until they actually physically point it out more. And Dustin, let's get to the positive of the situation. Dustin and Dart, I loved the bond that they were going for. You know, Dart, the little creature that Will coughed up at the end of season 1. Yeah, it's confirmed that that becomes a little demo-dog that, you know, Dustin keeps and raises as a pet. But Dustin trusting it was pretty naive, but it does fit into him being a middle schooler that's curious and that likes to explore much. And he's not really that bright. Well, not that bright in the sense of emotions, because he is curious, kind, but slightly naive. It's frustrating, but you know, it's middle schoolers and they're still human. And Bob the Brain, damn, I actually liked him. I liked him a lot. I expected him to be the annoying boyfriend that's just trying to prevent Joyce from, you know, being the protective mom that she is. But he grows to be a very enjoyable character. You know, they introduce characters, main characters getting like partners and stuff, and then they write them to be so annoying and so unlikable. likable, but they didn't do that with this show. He's smart, brave, and he's selfless. Like, he literally goes out saving everybody, and that really did give him the gold medal for being one of my favorite characters in this show. I missed him. It was really messed up, but at the same time, why did you just stop walking? You could have just ran straight out the door. Why did you stop when you saw everybody? And you stopped for a very long time, Bob. I don't know. For someone called Bob the Brain, that wasn't very smart. And Joyce Byers. Honestly, Winola, she forever carries this show. Well, it's only season 2. I'll see if she does in the later season. Does she? You guys can comment below. Tell me if she does or not. But Winola, she anchors this season emotionally. Her desperation and unwavering like faith that Will, his heart and soul is still there. It does make you sad because like he's gone mentally. In this season he is, but she still pushes and makes sure that she finds a way to save her son. You see how protective she's become after the experience of what happened in season 1. Like, she was on guard and she was more on top of it than she was in season 1 to make sure that Will does not get taken. And with the visuals and tones with this, season 2 is like, for some reason the lighting was a bit darker, but it does give it a more horror 80s type vibe. We got fogs, shadows, and just dread everywhere. But sometimes it's too dark. It does have a stylish vibe of The Thing and The Exorcist. And we can't forget the music, the theming of this too. The nostalgia this gives, especially at the beginning of the season when the boys dress up as the Ghostbusters, it just brings me back to my childhood. No, I'm not that old. I was not born in the 80s. But every episode still does give off the vibes of Stephen King and Steven Spielberg just having a movie baby. And this is what it comes out to be. But when there's good, there's bad, and we're gonna talk about that. Episode 7, I know. Let's talk about the Lost Sister episode, because like, why? Well, I know why, but still, why? Episode 7, it drags the momentum and gives it a complete stop. I get what this was supposed to do. I understand what this episode was for. It was to progress Eleven as a character, which it did, and it helped her get more control of her powers. But that could have been spread out throughout this season, because granted, I already didn't like the fact that Elle was apart from the group for literally every episode except the last 2 episodes. I already felt like this season was split in 2. It was more of a, even of Elle and Hopper, and then you have more of a Mike, Will, and Joyce episode with the rest of the gang. That somewhat took me out of it because I did expect to see more of Elle with them, because her solo story was kind of a drag, and like I said, it could have been split up more, and then they threw in this episode that didn't really give much substance at this moment, even though it did show that like she got to meet another person that she was in the lab with, which I do hope we see that character again. Like, season 5 is coming out. Have we seen that character again since? You guys can comment and tell me if we have or not. And I don't know, like, I didn't like Nancy with Steve, and I don't like what Nancy's doing with Jonathan, because Steve has had character growth. I love him. And granted, that doesn't mean that she should go back to him, or, you know, that just because she has a trauma bond with Jonathan doesn't mean that that should be fleshed out into something. Like, she lost her best friend, which thank God they're still talking about that, even though Barb was only in 2 episodes. And, you know, Jonathan lost Will. But they're now just connecting through trauma. It doesn't seem like they're connecting through something else. Like, what if things get more chill? Are they gonna break apart or come together more? I don't know. I just want to see more of how Steve is going to be, because Nancy's cool, but Nancy with Jonathan just seems kind of boring in my opinion. And this show was a little too dark, literally. Hold on, let me explain. I closed the blinds, I turned off the lights, got the mood set right, I got surround sound, and yet it still seemed too dark, literally. Not in the sense of the genre, it's just, they just used a different filter that most of this season was just dark as hell. And I just wanted to see more light to it. I'm glad that it was darker, but like, please make it a bit lighter, visual wise. Keep the themes dark though. And we gotta talk about Dustin, because he was annoying as shit this season. Yes, I did love the connection they wrote with him and Dart, but at the same time, his arrogance of keeping Dart a secret that he had Dart put a lot of people in danger, and a casualty to a beautiful, beautiful cat that we did not know long. Rest in peace. It's all Dustin's fault. But him in this season was infuriating because of that. it was aggravating. Did not like that. But he does have a big heart, so I give him props for that. It was just bad timing to have a big heart, Dustin. And I like that he got teeth. And what makes this season stand out is the parallel. Eleven learning that she needs her friends and not just her powers, and the party realizing that friendship can literally bring light to the darkness. It's that human aspect of this show that really keeps it grounded and brings more human to a show about monsters. Shit, that was good. I'm gonna write that down. And every character is already facing some sort of grief or trauma or some struggle, and we're only in season 2. You got Nancy's guilt, Harper's grief, Joyce's fear, and Will's possession. Different shades of the same thing. Trauma and the people that won't let it win. Keep fighting the good fight, people. So my final verdict for Stranger Things season 2. Stranger Things season 2 is far from perfect, but it does nail all the themes that it needs to. It's darker, scarier, and more emotional, and it actually hits more of the mythos without losing much of the heart. Mind Flayer gives the show a true big baddie, and the world of Stranger Things feels a lot more bigger. My rating for season 2 of Stranger Things, I give this a solid with snacks. A couple pacing hiccups, and I don't like that the group was separated for too long, and the Lost Sister episode, yeah, no bueno. This season does prove that lightning can strike twice in Hawkins. So comment below, tell me what you guys thought about season 2. And I reviewed season 1, that's already out, so go check that out if you guys are new here. And tell me which season you guys preferred better between season 1 and 2. I will be covering season 3 pretty soon, so, and if you like my vibe, comment below, like and subscribe. And I'm James Hancock, signing off.